We are gathered here today to talk about aliens. And more specifically, we're going to talk about where aliens could crash land. And that could be in your RPG Dungeons and Dragons campaign, could be in your, Starfinder campaign, could be in just like if you're a sci-fi writer, then this might be an interesting little list of prompts for you to work off of as you're, working out your novel about, I guess, just writing the ET story. But maybe this will help you write something more original, because my name is Landon. Welcome to the Church of Doom. This is my RPG ramble channel, where my mission is to try and just inspire as many people as I can with all of the crazy ideas that are bouncing around in my head all day long. So, sit down. I'm going to send some folks down the aisle to collect tithing, which just means to leave a like. That's all you have to do. You don't have to pay any money. But let's jump into things today, shall we? So, brothers and sisters, let us pray for the unholy alien crash landed when their spacecraft was struck by a misfired trebuchet while observing a siege. This idea was inspired by the released or declassified documents of all the pilots and people being like, oh my gosh, I saw there was a spaceship. It was like flying right next to me. And that kind of led to a lot of people having this theory that we're being observed, we're being watched by aliens. And so I thought, well, what if that happened in a fantasy world, in a Dungeons and Dragons world, where you could have your players in a castle under siege, and then this ship is like observing the siege, seeing how these primitive humans wage their magical warfare or whatever, and maybe because it's in its cloaking devices are active, it doesn't have its shields up. And so when one of the trebuchets gets hit by the dragon's breath and it throws the boulder way off, and it strikes something in the heavens, is how maybe the guards describe it when they come back and report what they saw, or when you're describing it to your players, it almost looks like maybe an angel has been struck down from the sky. Where does that ship crash land and what is in it? That could be a whole campaign, or it could just be an adventure. Going with the siege idea though, like if the players are inside the castle and this angel falls down into the hills, then what if the Baron or whoever is like, we need to get those adventurers and we need to get them out and they need to go get whatever that is and bring it back here before the enemy does. And the enemy's probably already left, so we need to get going. Or is it the players are with the sieging force and this angel falls down inside the castle and the players now need to sneak inside and steal that and get back out, before sunrise, when I don't know. That idea maybe isn't as cool as the other one, but I'm sure you've got your own ideas of how you could use this, but that's the first one. Let's move on to the next one. The unholy alien crash landed after its astral anomaly detection system malfunctioned and caused it to enter mortal space within the planet's crust. Oh, I forgot that it was the crust. Okay, so not only did this ship crash, but this was kind of, I think, inspired by in one of the newer Star Wars movies where Han and Chewie hyperdrive it almost onto the planet. And it's a super close call. Well, I just thought, what if whatever that fictional piece of technology is malfunctioned, and now you've got this ship that reappeared in real space, a mile down inside the Earth. And so that explains why there's a ship in the middle of a dungeon that as either literally phased halfway in and out of a chamber, or maybe it was down inside the Earth and this cult of mind flayers found it and built an underground dungeon around it, and they've kind of excavated it. Or it could just be the thing that the town miners have uncovered during their mining. It's not even an excavation. They're just doing their mining operation, and they're, bang, they hit something metal. It's what the hell is this thing? We found a monolith, or we found some sort of, it's a giant coffin. We found a giant metal sarcophagus in the mine. We need someone to go down and figure out what it is, because none of the miners are going down there. And is the thing that is in it still alive? Is that alien in hypersleep, or has it been able to, a beholder, an aberration? Can it just live forever and it's just been stuck down under the Earth? That to me, oh man, that is so cool. You could build an entire dungeon, an entire dungeon around that. think on the scale of like, what if a Star Destroyer was buried underground because it had hyperspaced, and then you've got like a mega dungeon that is an alien spaceship, but it's so massive and huge that nobody on the surface has ever even realized that, because the only thing that they're ever exposed to is like the topmost, the little like command deck on the Star Destroyer ships. Like that's the highest most part that they've uncovered. What if in the city of Waterdeep, isn't it the dungeon of the Mad Mage? Isn't that the huge mega dungeon under that city? Well, what if that was a Star Destroyer and that's what your players started to uncover? Like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool. All right, let's go on to the next one. The Unholy Alien, idea number 3, crash landed. Oh, this patient zero. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to kind of give you that little bit of context. I think I explained that you can kind of read these all as one sentence. If you haven't picked up on that already, that's how I like to do a lot of my writing. It's just, I don't know if I've trained my brain to now think this way, or I just kind of stumbled across a way that really, really works for me. But the heading, or the chapter heading, which is just whatever monster this is from my book of Monster Psalms, which I don't think I've explained any of that. Monster Psalms is a book I have on Kickstarter. It was already funded, so I know all of you are going to want to run and buy a copy immediately, and, I'm going to be flooded with a bunch of people asking, how do I get my hands on this book? So sorry, you're going to have to, I guess, wait till I'm finished editing it, and then maybe I can sell some PDFs to you. Sorry. But anyways, that Kickstarter is where all of this is from. Because actually, this is just one PDF of the Unholy Alien, but this book has a ton of random tables for all of your classic D&D monsters, and you can read it in this kind of fun heading verse line format that obviously is inspired by kind of biblical writings and things like that. So the Unholy Alien crash landed, and then I've been reading the black part as the full sentence, right? These little subheadings, that if you're not familiar with RPG, well, if you are familiar with RPGs, you're going to be like, why are you explaining what these are? Like, obviously that's how random tables work. You have your little like subheading to give you context for the idea. If you don't know what RPGs are or a role-playing game is, that's kind of why that's set up that way. So there's a fun little pattern here, though, to how you can kind of read the ideas in this book. Anyways, now that you've got that context, the Unholy Alien crash landed after abandoning its home planet to a zombie plague of their own accidental creation, and then they succumbed to the infection mid-flight. This is a combination. I think where I probably got this from was Superman is sent off the planet as the last sole survivor. So that was kind of like one part of the idea. I'm like, that would be cool. What, like that idea of a fallen savior or some superpowered being or a monster or just literally an alien falling down from the skies. But then what if this thing was also the trope from World War Z or any zombie show or movie ever, where it's like patient zero, right? The one person who does the thing that you should never do, right? Even though they're bit, they flee the planet. Or if you were to go with the straight up Superman trope, the parents are so desperate to save their child, they send it away with maybe it's been bit. Oh my gosh. Okay, now I'm coming up with just a cool idea for this subplot of a zombified Superman. But what if baby Superman was infected with a zombie plague, or was already becoming infected, but the parents were like 99% finished with a cure. They were so close, but they didn't have time to finish it because the other Kryptonian zombies are like at their doors, like pounding, trying to get in, right? So they put this 99% finished cure in with their zombified baby and shoot it off into space in hopes that wherever this lands, somebody will be able to figure out the cure and save their child, right? Now, as I'm describing, oh my gosh, we're going to keep going on a side ramble with this idea because I think it's so cool. If they did that, then that means Superman's parents either were evil in the sense that they knew they were kind of willing to doom a planet by sending their superpowered zombie child to it and just hoping like, all right, like please save them, but oh well, I guess if you don't, it's somebody else's problem. Or it might be a little more interesting if they had sent, like the ship wasn't necessarily a ship, it was meant to be a containment vessel for their child, and it got like damaged in its flight or during its landing, and that's how he broke out. But when the players, if they ever go and investigate the wreckage of patient zero, right, because that can exist somewhere in your sandbox, that wreckage is somewhere, if they go there, they can start to learn more about like where this thing came from, why is it here, how do we kill, every time we kill it or seem to injure it, like nothing happens. It just seems to either regenerate or not care about the harm. Once they go here, they can start to get all of their answers to that. So wow, coming, I guess, full circle, maybe, I don't even know if that was a circle, that was probably all over the place, but coming back here to idea number 4 for the unholy alien, crash landed. What was this one? I've been staring at a projector, so I've got that little like dot of blinding light that now I'm gonna have to figure out how to not have that be a problem in future videos. But verse 2, line 4, abducted. Oh, right. So they crash landed when the 1d10 mortal prisoners aboard its Heavenly Void Sailor, just a fancy name for a spaceship, right? But its Heavenly Void Sailor escaped their cells and stormed the command deck. If you hadn't heard, Biden did 9/11, right? And when Biden did 9/11, the 1d10 mortal prisoners aboard that ship could be anybody. That's the coolest part about this idea, right? That you've got 1d10 random NPCs from anywhere in your multiverse or a multiverse, right? Because this is an alien. It's an alien ship. It's not from your, or it doesn't have to be from your setting. This alien could have been abducting anything or anyone when it crash landed on your world. So maybe, like, I don't know, if you wanted to get like crazy with it, it's got like the Justice League, right? Like, but that would be, I mean, for some people that's their vibe when it comes to a role-playing game campaign. It's like, oh hell yeah, I want to fight Batman. To me that's kind of silly and ridiculous, but like I think I'm just trying to emphasize how flexible of an idea this can be. That what if, like, okay, let me give you another example that isn't so silly. What if one of the players, their parents went missing, right? That classic trope of dead parents, where they've just never seen their parents and they're assumed to be dead. What if they were actually abducted by aliens? And your player, maybe that player has like a little bit of a sense of that, like meta-wise, I guess, because maybe their character, like the last thing their character knew about their parent before they went missing was that they kept seeing a giant owl outside their window, right? I think that's definitely from an alien movie. What is that? I cannot remember what movie that is, but that's something where like big, you know how aliens have their big giant eyes. That's kind of part of your stereotypical alien look. That similarity of it being an owl was really cool in that movie. So you could just steal that, use it in your campaign. And anyways, coming back to this though, right? That the parent is one of the prisoners that was aboard this ship. And because the ship was in hyperdrive when it was traveling back to the alien's home planet, when the character's parent broke out and led this revolt, well, when the command deck got stormed and it kind of like fried the ship and it fell out of hyperspace, what if it hadn't actually gone anywhere? It was still on the player's planet because of, it's time travel, it's weird space travel, so time is weird. And even though the character has aged 20 years, every D&D player that I've ever, any player who's ever been at my table always wants to be like, I'm right on the cusp of adulthood. So they're probably like a 20-something-year-old when, what was I saying? I completely lost my train of thought, making fun of some of my players. Right, so the parent was gone for 20, 30, if they're an elf, maybe it's been like 300 years, right? But then the ship suddenly appears back on the planet. And now this parent, to them it's only been maybe a couple hours, maybe not even an hour, is on a planet that is completely different. Their child is completely grown up. They've got all this alien tech. Maybe they're infected with a virus. Like, you can go all kinds of crazy ways with that idea. And that's just if you were to do the parent got abducted, right? Very cool idea that I think is going to keep taking me off in a bunch of random directions if I don't focus up and move on to the next idea. Hopefully you don't hear that toilet flushing. I'm also going to have to investigate that. But if not, I can just edit this out. So idea number 5. The unholy alien crash landed while trying to hide a Realmbreaker from fanatic DOOMSDAY cultists who pursued them here from their home realm, crashed in the frozen north. Kind of like Steve Rogers takes his plane down into the Arctic to stop Hydra from getting their bombs, to destroy the world. What if the alien who crash landed on your world wasn't a bad guy, wasn't a villain, it wasn't like a mindless monster? What if it was a good guy? It was the Steve Rogers of their world, but instead of crash landing into their Arctic, they're like, I'm hyperspace over to this other planet. And then they crash land into the ice there, right? To keep these weapons hidden, but not on their own planet, of course. That would be crazy. So that would be just kind of fun. And then you've got other things to work with. You're like, what is a Realmbreaker missile? And what, like, in the context of a fantasy Dungeons and Dragons world, a Realmbreaker missile, is it like, what is that? Is it literally like what we think of as a missile with the fins and the rocket and it shoots up in the air? Or in the context of a sci-fi world, is a missile like a monolith, a big obsidian monolith with a demon trapped inside it? And when they shoot a Realmbreaker down or when they drop it from magical orbit, this thing is so big and heavy, it hits the ground, kind of like in G.I. Joe, that big metal thing they shoot into the earth. Maybe it sinks down into the core and releases a demon into the core of the planet. And that's what a Realmbreaker missile is. Or it could be something else. And then what, a Doomsday cult? Like, maybe they've been looking for this wreckage for hundreds of years and they've never been able to find it. And you're running, what was the Rime of the Frost Maiden, I think. Yeah, Rime of the Frost Maiden. Maybe you're running that published adventure. Probably not. But no, you probably are, because it's reverse compatible with the new edition of Dungeons and Dragons, right? So I'm sure you're running it in the newest edition. But maybe you're running that, and when the players are out exploring or lost in a snowstorm, they come across the wreckage that this cult has been looking for. And then that can derail your campaign however you want it to. Very fun idea. Use it however you want. All right, we're almost done here. We got what? Oh, wait, did I say? No, I said idea number 5. Okay, number 6. Yeah, oh, wow, last idea. The unholy alien crash landed EMP. Okay, this is so cool. When a mage's experimental anti-gravity spell caused their ship to instantly de-enchant. Kind of similar to the siege idea in that this like weird freak accident caused them to crash, but a little different in that you're working with a mage and a weird casting of a spell, so it can kind of be anywhere. Maybe this mage is like up in their flying fortress tower and it's orbiting the realm and they're doing weird experiments in the sky, and that's what caused the ship to crash. And when the players go investigate the site of the crash, nobody knows about this wizard, right? But the players go to this crash Xenos craft and maybe they fight the alien, maybe they don't. If they don't, they learn like, oh my, I was just flying. I didn't mean to show up here. I was just flying by. There was this flying chunk of stone up in the sky, and when I got close, I suddenly everything went dark and I crash landed. And maybe the alien like offers to get your players up to explore whatever. Well, I guess they couldn't, because if they got close, they crash land. Oh, so now this alien's stranded on... See? Here we go. Now your players are going to have to figure out or make decisions about these things. Like, this alien is stuck here. Are they going to, like, help it? Are they going to try and repair the ship? It's kind of like a Pikmin story now, where you've got this stranded Xenos alien who's trying to repair their ship. And if the players are like, fuck, like, we don't got time for this. Good luck, right? And then we're going to do you a favor by not killing you. And they leave. You could have this funny NPC or recurring NPC where the players keep stumbling across this alien who is looking for the wreckage of their ship that fell from orbit in just the most bizarre, weird places. And they're running into them at like maybe a cult that the party is trying to take down. That cult has also stolen part of the wreckage, and that's where they meet up again. It's like, oh, get glorp, get out of here. That's such a Rick and Morty name. That is so stupid. And I don't watch Rick and Morty. I don't know why I said glorp. I think I was trying to relate to a younger audience that I doesn't even want to relate to that anymore. Forgive me for that sin. Let's move on. I can't really move on because I just did the last idea. And okay, crap. Futureland in here. I just edited about 5 minutes of me rambling trying to save whatever train wreck that was turning into. What I was saying is that is the end of the list of sites I had for where an alien spaceship could crash land. I hope this inspired you in some way, whether that is for your next session of Dungeons & Dragons, or it's just you're on your way home from work or on your way to work and you just get to think about aliens for 45 minutes, right? I hope that's what I get to offer you with this video. So thank you so much for your time. Don't forget to leave a like, to pay your tithing. Oh, and your mission, right? Because as a member of the Church of Doom, as a loyal cultist of mine, I ask you this. Leave a comment. with your idea, put it in brackets, structure it just the way I have here, right? With a little, you don't have to number it because that's going to get all crazy, but just put in brackets a little title for your idea, and then in a 1-sentence description, it has to be 1 sentence, that's my rule. The one exception here is you can do like a little sub bracket at the end for like some extra context or anything like that that is needed for the idea. But leave an idea. That is your creative mission today. Even if you do not play Dungeons and Dragons, I challenge you to a little creative writing exercise of a 1-sentence story, basically, is what you're doing here. So that's it for me today. That's all I got. So again, thank you. And I guess we say these things in their unholy names. Amen.